Welcome to the Keenan Lake Show on SIBN Radio. Keenan Lake is the author of the book My Daddy Taught Me That, published by Welcome, a social worker and activist. You can like this show's fan page at www.facebook.com/The Keenan Lake Show on SIBN Radio. Feel free to post any comments, questions, or requests for his book on the fan page. Now let's go into the studio with your host, Mr. Keenan Lake, and co-host, Marcus Select.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us for the Keenan Lake Show right here on SIBN Radio with our host, Mr. Keenan Lake himself, and yours truly, Marcus Select. Thank you also for following us on Twitter at TL Show, and also right there on Twitter as Select USA TV. Keenan, what's going on tonight, man? What's happening?
How you doing, Coach? How you doing?
Hey, doing well, man. Tonight our topic is awesome once again.
It is, Coach. We're actually talking about men and health. I am aware, folks, that it is a Breast Cancer Month, Awareness Month, so I do want to give a plug-in for all of our breast cancer folks, victims, folks who are experiencing any difficulties with that. Please go seek help. And actually, to all my women out there, this is an opportunity to tell you guys to go get checked, because there's a lot of women who may not even know. But Breast Cancer Month awareness, we want to make sure that is something that is being promoted as well. But, Coach, all week long, Coach, I've been thinking about this topic. It made me think a lot about my dad, it made me think about my granddad, but I was actually reading an article about a week or so ago, and it was on CNN. It was CNN News. I was on my cell phone, and the article came up, and I was reading it. And it talked about black men, and the name of the article, for all the folks out there listening, it's called Black Men in Pain, Need Our Help. Mm-hmm. And Coach, it was talking about black men, and it actually featured that young man in D.C. at the Naval Academy who shot all the people and stuff like that. And it was talking about how, excuse you, Coach, bless you. It's talked about how African American men are depicted in society in this world, and how we're looked at as folks who don't need help or who refuse to get help. So it made me kind of wonder, Coach, about that, and think about this topic a little bit more. And it made me think about, like I said, my dad and my granddad, because, Coach, as you know, old black men, they don't go to the doctors.
Yeah. Young black men don't go.
Well, that's true, too. But, I guess we either have this mindset that we're invincible, or, but I remember my grandfather, he was in his mid-80s. Mm-hmm. And he was a veteran. He was a VA vet, and he had we tried to get him to go to the VA hospital. Medical insurance and everything was taken care of, and he refused to go. Only when it was dire, and I'll never forget, the family had to have basically family discussions and talk to him to get him to go to the doctor. He refused to go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, part of the reason is pride. We as men in general, this is probably got some staggering numbers among our counterparts, Asian and white, European, what have you. But on the African American side, I think you may also be referring to mental health. Just health from the neck up, from the head to the bottom of our feet. Doesn't seem to always be as proactive, and then when you really think about it, accessibility and affordability had been a factor for a lot of men as well. But I think it's kind of pride. You know what I'm saying? I'll be all right type mentality, and don't worry about me. And they may have aches and pains and don't say nothing. I'm in that category as well. Maybe not so much pride, but somewhat, sometimes embarrassed to have aches and pains and strange things going on. You know what I'm saying?
I can relate to that, Coach. Mm-hmm. As I get older, I'm starting to see, I'm not old yet. I'm fairly young, just so my audience will know that. But no, Coach, as I'm starting to get older, you don't heal as fast as you used to. You start to, like, for example, I used to get in the gym and play basketball all day. Now it's like, wow, I'm getting a little sore. So I think you're absolutely right when you talk about that pride, and primarily when I have younger cousins who are around that age of 18, 19, so you want to try to outdo them, and it's like, nah, those kids can run for days. I'm not trying to keep up with them anymore. But let me give this stat real quick, Coach. And this is something, again, folks, to all who are listening and need a reference point. The article is you can actually just put it in your internet web browser and type in "Black men in need of pain," and it was a CNN article. But the article talked about, it said that suicide is the third leading cause of death among black males ages 10 through 24 years of age, Coach. I mean, I had no idea. That's the third leading cause of death among black males 10 to 24 years of age. I had no idea that it was that high. It was the third leading cause. But then it talked about how society, depicts black African American men, and it talked about how, like, for example, you watch movies, okay, and the scenarios that they gave were The Sopranos, I've never heard of the Bob Newhart Show, Frasier, MASH, all these shows where these men are, I watched The Sopranos, so he was actually going to a therapist regularly. That actually was the basis of the show, him in therapy. And all these other shows, have these men in therapy, but they're saying that there's no shows that deal with African American males in that standpoint. In fact, what they said was that movies only show black men. The controversial movies only show black men in two lights: either they're criminal or incredible. And what they said by that was, either they're playing criminal or being bad, villains, or they're superheroes like star athletes. Which is primarily that's what they use them for the word star athlete. So, when you go back to that point, Coach, I mean, you don't really see African American males either seeking or asking for help, be it physical help or mental help.
Well, I think what you're also re-emphasizing again with those stats, though, is that the mental health capacity for African American men has not been explored. We have long in our history since been embarrassed, not necessarily as the individual who's having the problems, but the stigma that is attached to mental health as a country, as a nation. And I can probably definitely surmise that our stats for mental health and the response to mental health issues in our communities is very, very low. Not only for the stigma, but also for the way people with mental health are treated in general in this country. And I'm not thinking that we're proactive about getting therapy, because traditionally African Americans men have not traditionally had access to that or had factored that in as part of their communal experience. But I think that, as we talk about, for instance, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, sickle cell, and on, we're talking about mental health in this country, but we're really not having a conversation from both sides. You think about the shooting at Sandytown Elementary. This was a young white man that was disturbed. His parents bought him a gun. Wow. What a treat, But you think about the young man that had this Navy Yard shooting, and he did confess to people about the voices he was hearing. He had been, I believe, a veteran, having gone to serve overseas and came back. So I don't think it's not facilitated for African American men, let alone any other man in this country, as a wholesome conversation, part of your checkup, part of what we do when we start seeing signs, you know what I'm saying, that leads to activity or actions or behaviors that can be outside the realm of the normal. You know what I'm saying?
Coach, I definitely agree with what you're saying. And when we come back from break, I want to piggyback and elaborate a little bit more about this discussion as well.
Yes, sir. That's what we're talking today about, our black men lacking healthy lifestyles, from the physical to the mental. We'll talk more when we come back. This is the Keenan Lake Show. Guy, I almost called it the DCC Show, Keenan. All right, guys, stand by.
responsible, accountable. Who taught you that? My daddy taught me that. That's right, the new book all the way from Asheville, North Carolina, representing the legacy of Benny Lake is Keenan Lake, the author of My Daddy Taught Me That, the book and the program for young men in Asheville, North Carolina and throughout the region. Tune in to the program, the project, and the book at mydaddytaughtmethat.com. For more information, email lake@mydaddytaughtmethat.com or call 828-582-2261. That's 828-582-2261. mydaddytaughtmethat.com.
I'm Nomvula, aka Sunshine, and we here in South Africa are tuned into SIBN Radio at www.415-96radio.com. If you would like to know more about the SIBN television and radio network, complete a contact form at the website www.415-96radio.com. Salette USA TV, reaching the world.
Now is the time. Your radio show on SIBN Radio. You're ready to share your message with the world. Then call 404-910-5019. That's right, call 404-910-5019. Producing your radio show on SIBN Radio. For more information, dial 404-910-5019. That's right. 404-910-5019. Now is the time.
Hey, we're back here, the Keenan Lake Show, live and on demand. Don't forget to visit www.mydaddytaughtmethat.com for more information about Keenan Lake, the author and the activist there in Asheville, North Carolina. Keenan, are men living a healthy lifestyle? I do not really think so on the whole. It's just not part of our culture, man. I mean, really, seriously. Accessibility, affordability, and cultural stimulation, it's just not there like it should be.
Coach, you made some valid points, before we went on break. And, one of the things that you said was that, and I see this in my work every day in social work, not only with men, but with families, when you start talking about mental health, that's kind of a stigma. And people look at it, even in 2013, as a stigma, like, I'm not going to get, I don't need to go see a mental health doctor or a mental health professional because people will think I'm crazy. That's just that's the first train of thought that comes with it. Like, no, people will think I'm crazy. But the bottom line, we tell all our families all the time, like, no, this is, everybody has issues. Everybody needs help at times to work through them now. Of course, I think in the African American community, Coach, more so than anything too, it's always, when you have issues you need to work through, you need to pray to Christ. You need to go to Christ, and that's true. I'm not. Don't get it twisted, folks. I think that any problems that you're having, any bad, good problems, anything that you're going through, you need to make sure that Christ is in the center of it. But I think too, like you said, Coach. I think a lot of the tradition in our race has been, well, no, you don't talk about it. You just pray about it and let that be it, from my experiences, Coach. But I think you have made some valid points as far as, our culture being, men, first of all, we're really, it's really that ego, that pride. Like, I'm not going to tell anybody I'm hurt or I might need help. And then, it's just not prevalent in our race, and then on top of that, you made another valid point with affordability. Everyone knows that, mental health, physical health, all those types of benefits are costly. So, even me, Coach, I look at myself. I have great insurance. I have some of the best insurance. And, like, for example, if I sprain my ankle, or I pull a muscle in my, it's like, nah, I'll let it heal. I'm not going to the doctor, even though it's like a $15, $20 copay. It's like, nah, I'm not going to go. Whereas I could go and get that treatment, that help, and then it'd be done with it. But it's like, nah, I can treat it myself. I sit down and so we have that mentality, Coach, and something that I've noticed throughout my life.
But go back to accessibility and affordability. to struggle with something as a cultural issue is one thing, but to have support for the denial of the importance of healthy issues coupled with the strategies that you have to fight to pay for health services, specifically for mental health services, let alone for anything else, is a challenge, has always been a challenge for the African American community. And so African American men, we dismiss what we don't understand, and we have to fight and struggle with, since most illnesses are illnesses that you can't see, then we dismiss it. But accessibility and affordability had been a mantra of obstacles to overcome. And so when you look at it from a cultural standpoint, while that may be changing, and I do mean, it could very well be changing as our seniors age, as a new generation comes in. I'm not so sure about the stats that will show how often we even go to the doctor, but when you couple in, like I said, affordability and accessibility, and it's just a question I'm wondering, and maybe somebody can hit us up at the KL Show on Twitter or at Select USA TV, whether or not Obamacare would cover mental health challenges. That would be a question that I would like for somebody to, let us know.
That's very good, Coach. And also, to even elaborate on this a little bit more, Coach, you look at it from the standpoint of testing. They tell us, like, for example, when you get, and I see that's sad that I don't even know the age. I think it's what your early 40s, 42, you start getting your prostate,
right,
for prostate cancer checked, and then colon cancer in the mid 40s. I think I'm right on that. I'm not 100% sure, but then you start having, you start looking at the stigma with that. I've heard men say, if I got, colon cancer, then so be it. I'm not letting people put things in me, So, it's the way we. Go ahead, Coach.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because just speaking for myself and the men that I've been around as African American man, it's also fear. Let's just put it out there. It's fear that something is going to be found to be wrong. And if you know from listening to the KL show, the Keenan Lake show, we talk about so many other ills and issues that we African American men in particular are dealing with every day. So many walls we have to climb, so many mountains we have to speak to, however you want to arrange it. And then if you couple with that, something is wrong with me physically. I'm not just talking about the mental health, but I'm just talking about overall. There is fear in us that something else could be wrong. This would be something else I got to deal with on top of everything else that I'm dealing with. And so I'm glad you brought that up, because I heard from a person that took both tests, take the test. This person is in their 70s, have taken the test regularly, that not only is it painful, but you have to follow some specific instructions for the colon test and for the prostate test, mostly for the colon test. But, I have to admit myself, I fear going to the doctor for anything. I don't have an overcoming fear, I don't think, but I fear going to the doctor. I don't mind saying it on the air. I don't even know where it comes from. It probably comes from being around a bunch of men who you never even heard them talking about going to the doctor, not even to the dentist or whatever. So this is something that we really need to look at as we push forward and ask questions and inquire. But I will admit, Keenan, fear is and plus, if you've never had let me just put it this way, if you've never had a great experience at the doctor as a child or as a teen, where you had regular routine checks or just a great experience, someone explaining things to you, calming you down, then you're going to tend to give in to that fear.
Exactly. And Coach, you know what? And I'm gonna tell you, I don't mind sharing, a little bit of my life about my father. My dad, when he got sick and he was going through his, my father passed away 3 years ago. For those who don't know, he ended up having to have double lung transplant. He ended up having a rare disease called, well, if I wouldn't have said it, I could have. It was, well, Coach, that's sad. If I wouldn't have said it on air, I could have told you what it was. Pulmonary fibrosis. But it was still something else. But anyway, he had to have double lung transplant. So anyway, to make a long story short, my dad, I think, Coach, to this day, in hindsight, when you look back on it, I'm able to see things now. And when we actually he had to go to Durham. Him and my mom actually had to relocate and move to Durham. And I remember him vividly, really scared, because he felt like he wasn't going to come back home. And actually, he didn't. He didn't make it back home. But the surgery actually went well. He had success with the surgery, but then after the surgery is when the problems came. Mm-hmm. But to make a long story short, Coach, I never forget how, and we look back now, how my father was a lot sicker than what he led on to believe. You see what I'm saying? He would not let us know how sick he really was. And when he was around, just like he said, "Oh, I'm fine, I'll be okay," you know. Mm. But then when I look back now, it's like, no, he was really struggling. You know, he was really breaking down. Mm. But he wouldn't let me and my mother know because I guess he didn't want us to worry about him.
That's a pause right there, because that's a lot of us. That's a lot of us.
Yep. And the other thing is this, Coach. Let me ask you this, and I'm glad we're talking on this subject. A lot of people have said this, and I've heard a lot of people say this, that if you don't know that you're sick with something, then your mind can overcome it, as opposed to you knowing it. You see what I'm saying? And that reality is there, and then you have to live with that. Like, okay, well, no. For example, well, I guess you can't really say cancer because cancer will make itself known. But let's just say you got some ailment going on, mm-hmm. and you're living life normal, don't know nothing about it. Mm-hmm. But then once you go to the doctor and you find out about it, then it's like you start worrying about it and you kind of worry yourself into a frenzy. I've heard people say that they have been able to, they would rather not know than know. That sounds kind of crazy to me, because I feel like if you catch things early enough, you might be able to prevent it and add some layers to your life.
But that's the point exactly. I have to go back to my own personal experience and my own personal exposure. African American men have struggled with so many things in life. From economy to personal responsibility to family to citizenship, if there's political aspirations, whatever, educational pursuits, whatever the case may be, spiritual, foundational issues, and connecting with the church and so forth and so on. That to us, just speaking in a general term, it's just one more thing on our plate. But to answer your question, if it is a question about whether or not it's good to know or not know, well, we'd rather not know. That's just our attitude. But that is not the prevailing wisdom, because as we talk about on this show, Keenan, to be frank and to be honest, we're responsible to our families. Even if you're not married, you're responsible still to your mom, your dad, or your uncle, to your family bloodline. We're responsible. And when we die suddenly, without any knowledge of what is going on, though we may be insured, life insurance, still it leaves a void in many families, and it's hard to pass on a responsible legacy. And so it's today's topic is a very serious, and we need to have more conversations so that men can feel at ease to respond to this burden of am I okay or not. And most men, even young men, I'm invulnerable.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying. So you raise a very, very, very. But I think that if you have the opportunity, accessibility, affordability to be able to have regular checkups, I will say that you should take advantage of that. But for many people, they just don't have that luxury.
Right. Coach, let's take our last break, and then we can start wrapping this up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're listening to the Keenan Lake Show right here on SIBN Radio. We're talking about, are we as African-American males living a healthy lifestyle? So it's a great topic. We'll be right back here in just a few minutes. Stand by. That's right. The Select USA TV Collabo Media Groups and Partners Worldwide for a limited time has opened up its membership to the general public. Now you can collaborate worldwide with media conglomerate SIBN Television and Radio. If you want to join free of charge for this limited time offer, then visit www.WeSupportSelectUSATV.com. That's right, we have programs, benefits, service, and so much more to offer to our members exclusively at SCGPW. That's right, visit www.WeSupportSelectUSATV.com.
www.WeSupportSaletTV.com. That's www.WeSupportSaletTV.com. You're listening to the sound of the Coach's Heart. I'm not secure enough to take criticism from anyone else because I have an ingrown toenail in my mind. And the ingrown toenail dictates to me that I must put you in your place when you open up your mouth to begin to size me up, because the truth of the matter is I have not sized myself up. I have not been truthful with me. And that's why I'm not free enough to sit here and listen to a criticism that may or may not apply. I must cut you off and give you a piece of my mind. And the reason why I do that is because I will never give you the power that I myself have not recognized I have. And my friend, my sister, my brother, that is the wrong way to look at life. You should be secure enough that no matter who does what and where, you can sit there or you can simply walk away without even saying a word. And you know that you've done the work in your private space. Keep pace with the race. Join me on the Coach's Corner at www.415-96radio.com for more hardcore motivation, daily inspiration, and antidotes for your spiritual foundation, because every now and then there's a leak in this old building. And as the songwriter said, my soul has got to move. Join me there at www.415-96radio.com. You're listening to the sound of the Coach's Heart.
Hey, we're back here, man. This is a very great discussion, Keenan. Once again, you have thrown embers into the fire. You've created a fire. Really, it's a bonfire for that matter.
Coach, go ahead, Coach. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying it's kind of weighing on me now, but this is also a part of being responsible, Keenan, and thank you for raising the subject. And maybe we should have more conversations and bring a few experts on. But if you're a man out there listening, I will say there's some proactive things you can do. Try to eat healthy. Try to stay away from those things that could visibly and invisibly take your health down. But Keenan, you got the last word.
Coach, I'm glad you said that. First of all, folks, for all of our men and women, but perhaps men because we're talking about men today, don't be afraid to go to the doctor. We got to get out of this mindset of, if I have an ailment, I can rub dirt on it and it'll be okay. Mm-hmm. That old mentality that we had back in the past where, we'll pray on it and let God heal it. Well, that's true. And once again, we need to pray any chance we get. But at the same time, we need to understand that Christ has given us avenues that's sent from Him to fix things. Mm-hmm. And that's called doctors. If you're suffering through any type of depression, if you're suffering from any type of mental health issue, please seek help. Don't be afraid to get help, and don't be afraid for people saying, "Oh, he's crazy," or "She, this is going on." Because when you don't get the help, when you don't get the mental health help, when you don't get the physical health help, that's when these problems. It's almost just like anything else. If your car breaks down, you get your car fixed. When your body breaks down, you need to get your body fixed. Mm-hmm. We have to. And then, like what you were saying, Coach, I'm so glad you said that. African Americans, we're prone and have a disposition, and we don't eat as healthy as we should. We love a lot of sugar in our diet. I can contest to that. I probably way too much sugar. Mm-hmm. A lot of salt. So with that being said, the ways that you can prevent things is eating better, exercising regularly, and getting checkups, getting checked out. Mm. Those are the things that I want to leave you with today, man. When if you want to be on this world, on this earth, for a longer period of time, then or not cut your lifespan down by 10 plus years. And you need to start eating healthier, exercising regularly, and getting checkups, seeing your doctor regularly.
So true. Keenan, thank you so much. It's kind of weighing on my heart. Listen, guys, those of you that are listening, if you're experts in the field of health in any fashion and you want to be on our show to contribute some positive information on how we all can live more healthy from physical and psychological, mental, by all means, hit us up on the website, www.mydaddytaughtmethat.com. Fill out a contact information, and Keenan or one of his producers will return the call or email as soon as we can to get you on the show. And if you're listening to the sound of our voice and you can do at least 1 to 5 things to be healthier tomorrow, starting today, starting tomorrow, write those 5 things down and begin to do them. I can tell you of a truth. One of the things that I'm working on is not worrying. Worrying will kill anything moving.
Yeah,
stress.
Yeah,
you know.
You're not lying, Coach.
I don't walk enough. So, one of the other things that I'm trying to get away from the studio, away from the work board, and try to get out there and stretch. Because, Keenan, I think what I learned about this show and what I learned about the Keenan Lake Show a lot is that we are responsible. This is what it means to be responsible. Take baby steps. Don't try to do it all at one time. But lay your fears aside and realize, and we want to speak to our women out there, listen, a lot of men don't know. You have to encourage your man, your brother, your uncle, your father, your grandfather. We got some issues as men. We don't mind admitting that. Well, thanks so much for joining us for the Keenan Lake Show for today. Keenan, stand by. You're listening to the Keenan Lake Show on SIBN Radio.
Thank you for joining us today for the Keenan Lake Show. We know you will be empowered as you consider the content shared by Mr. Keenan Lake, co-host Marcus Select, and our guests. For more information about Mr. Keenan Lake, please visit www.mydaddytaughtmethat, and feel free to email us at lake@mydaddytaughtmethat.com. Books can be ordered from Mr. Lake by calling 828-582-2261. Until next time, you've been listening to the Keenan Lake Show on SIBN Radio.